you green people for being part of this green revolution. It has to start someplace. I'm sure it started a long time ago, but it's nice to see people getting involved.
All right, so now it's melting, melted fine. And a little bit of a wipe. This is called a flat plate collector because it's just a big flat plate. And the aluminum is what catches the rays of the sun, heats up because we painted them black, and transfers that heat to the copper, which transfers the heat to the water that's inside there. So these are flat plate collectors. The state of the art right now is not a flat plate collector. The state of the art right now are these vacuum tubes that have a black interior that water is passed through, and those are really about the best. But they also cost an awful lot of money. So these collectors, like I said, are around $200, $225. Those collectors are, we're talking thousands of dollars. So the difference is made. These you can do yourself. You can really help yourself out by knowing what's going on in there. With the tube collectors, they're very effective, and it's just a matter of buying them. So if you're more up, obviously you're the kind of people that are more up for doing something yourself. So this kind of fits in with that quite a bit better.
That's because this used to be in
Copper, more.
Okay.
That's what we're going to be doing today. So that's what's there with the copper pipe in it, secured by some strips that are on the sides, secured by this strip here, so you can see the aluminum. And this stuff is a fiberglass. It's called, anything?
Sunwall.
Sunwall. Sunwall. So it's particular.
Hal sunlight.
Sunlight. That's right. Sunlight. When the sun comes through and hits this area, we've got to get that heat over to the copper. So the aluminum, remember, is a very good conductor of heat. So the heat transfers over to that copper. And then the fact that the aluminum is around the copper, halfway anyway, that aluminum moves that heat into that copper. And the copper moves the heat into the water, and that's how you're going to get the...
Fix this. He says you're not going to like it. He says
You want to get better at adapting your water usage to when the sun is out and when you're making hot water. If you make a lot of hot water over a day, but then don't use it, and you get 3 cloudy days, you're going to wish you did your wash and your whatever you wanted using your hot water on when it was sunny. So to some extent, you have to be thinking about when you're using your hot water. But with a big enough system, with a big enough storage, that gets you over the humps and valleys and just kind of makes it more homogeneous, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you've got 4 collectors and, let's say, 400 gallons of water that you keep high, and you can clamp these side pieces down into place, right? So if you're pushing these guys down into place, could someone get the rubber mallets, because those are handy at this point? One thing to remember about this is that this coil comes together, comes to you nice and straight in one direction, in other words in this plane, but curved in the other. And we're going to try to make it into something that's curvy in quite a few directions. If you can keep this coil straight up, you're going to give yourself, you're going to make your life a lot easier, our life a lot easier. And again, when we start handing this back and forth, don't kink it and try to hold it down. Have people holding it down in places where it's already been bent. So we're going to take this out, and somebody could hold that right there. There's a start mark for that. So we want to unroll that and do it slowly so you're in control. Give yourself enough to be able to go right around that corner. I'm going to do a little bit of pulling, so you have to resist my pulling a little bit. I'm just gonna walk it right around. Again, keep that coil straight up and down. Yep, and have people hold it for you. When it gets to this point, we're gonna pass it off to someone on the other side. All right, and just slowly undo that. Now, before you get too far, these guys we found were kind of handy, and the rubber mallets could come from over there. So we found it handy to do a little bit of this to kind of make things really adhere to that shape, okay? Now we've got that. Now these guys can go in, all right? Maybe that way. That should work. Let's see. Oh, you know what? We put these down with these. We were a little more methodical, I think, the last time we did it. You'll find that that really doesn't matter, and the reason is that this stuff moves so much, and we're going to be able to knock it around that it doesn't really matter that much. The other thing that people can be, another one of the chores is setting the box up to be ready for these aluminum sheets. So the boxes themselves, you can see there's two painted ones right over there. And so the first thing that gets done when you've got a box, you turn it right side up and throw a piece of aluminum in here. This is 1-inch aluminum. So that's the insulation for the back of the whole thing, so it just keeps the heat in the box. Then these pieces of insulation are really just to hold the aluminum in the space you want. So we're going to be forcing that copper down in here, all right? And we're going to get a little bit of this kind of bending right there. That's fine. Remember, all this is doing is moving heat. It's capturing the heat when the sun comes in, and it's moving the heat. So it's going to move it whether it's bent or not. That doesn't really matter. So there's going to be a little bit of that. And this is the, so these guys are going to go down obviously in exactly the right spot to allow this guy to sit where it wants to sit. We originally measured this all out and marked it, but and any of this, if any of you have better ideas for doing any of this, certainly let's talk about it while we're here. So actually these could probably be smaller. Okay.
Strip it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying water every time I'm talking about what's inside the coils, the copper. In most cases, it isn't actually going to be water. It's going to be water with antifreeze in it. That's because up here in the wintertime, these are not drained down systems. These have that fluid in them all the time. And so you can't have it freeze, so you need the antifreeze in there. So most times when I say water, I'm talking about this water antifreeze solution, all right? And in John's system, the antifreeze that is circulating in these collectors is being pumped back to some kind of storage tank. In my case, one tank with a coil at the bottom. So I've got a copper coil that's in the bottom, and so the fluid is circulated through there, and that coil heats up water that's in the tank. And that water that's in the tank is just that. It's just water sitting in a tank. It's just a medium for sucking up heat or storing heat. The way that I use that heat in my house is that there's another coil sitting on top of that box, and that's where I move my water from my hot water heating system, and I pump my water through that coil, and that water goes and heats my radiant floor, and I can also use it as my hot water in the house for showers, wherever I need hot water. So there's a real separation. There's no way that any of this antifreeze would ever get into your house water. It would have to escape from its pipes, get into the water that's just in the tank, then that water would have to get into the tubing that's in the, and it's just never going to happen. So it's a real separation.